Good evening and welcome. Yes, we've all seen and been witness to some international news, disturbing international news of Ukraine as well as Russia, the war, the invasion. But let's now take a small break from that, a short break from that, and talk about this election-bound state of Uttar Pradesh. Today was the curtains on campaigning for Phase 5, where on the 27th of February, the fifth phase of elections will take place. This has some important centers which will go to polls, and now with each subsequent phase, just 3 more left, the battle is going to shift eastwards. We'll get you this, an exclusive interview with Akhilesh Yadav on the contest ahead, the battle for Purvanchal, and also a discussion with the youth. What is the youth manifesto? All throughout our coverage, we have been constantly speaking to the young. What is their agenda when they go to polls? But first, let's begin this broadcast by introducing my colleague Alok Pandey. Alok, good evening. Curtains on campaigning. What can one expect on the 27th? If you could just give us a summary of what are the key contests on the 27th.
Well, yes, I'll certainly do that, Sanket, but I'd like to start by first pointing out that the most striking visual for me today was this image of these 4 or 5 bulldozers that were actually brought to a Yogi Adityanath rally by BJP supporters, and they actually put banners across all these bulldozers saying Baba ka bulldozer. Now, of course, we know that the BJP has been campaigning a lot about how it has acted against mafias, etc. And that was perhaps why this was done, but it was a striking image, something that was a defining image of the day today. But of course, we are not going to talk about just this day. I think we are also going to talk about what's at stake. I'm sure you will talk about more detail and the youth agenda a little later. But there are about 61 seats that are going to the polls, and most of these seats are either in central or in eastern UP. Of these 61 seats, the BJP and its allies had won 50 in 2017. For them, it is a battle to retain their dominance in these areas. For the Samajwadi Party, it is a battle to kind of make a dent into the BJP fortunes and try and win the maximum seats possible from their campaign, and that is why Akhilesh Yadav was in Ayodhya today. I think also very briefly the regions that are going to the polls. So one big area, of course, is Ayodhya, that entire belt. A big election is happening in that area for the first time after the Supreme Court verdict on the Ram Temple and the start of the construction of the Ram Temple. Now, whether that will be a factor in the vote there remains to be seen. Amethi, another very interesting area. I was at a Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi rally earlier. And, Amethi has been a bastion, a former bastion of the Congress, at least in the Lok Sabha elections. But in 2019, of course, as we know, Rahul Gandhi lost the election to the BJP Smriti Irani. The Congress does not hold any Vidhan Sabha seat there. 3 of those seats are held by the BJP and 1 of them is held by the Samajwadi Party. So whether the Congress can make a dent there remains to be seen. Interestingly, this was Rahul Gandhi's first campaign, Sanket, for the UP election for the Congress. And that's interesting. There are only 2 more seats left, 2 more phases left. And then, of course, there is Prayagraj, where you are, which is the coaching hub of Uttar Pradesh, and where there was this violence, if you remember, at least police crackdown on these students who were protesting against the railway recruitment exam. I'm sure you will talk about that. But this is what is at stake broadly in the 5th phase of the UP election.
All right, Alok Pandey, many thanks for joining us. And sorry, I know we had to stop you short of your trip. We were heading back. But thanks very much for joining us. Let's now shift focus. Alok mentioned Ayodhya, a very important contest, and this was, of course, the place from where there was much speculation about Yogi Adityanath contesting. However, that never happened. It's a contest between Mr. Ved Gupta of the BJP and Pawan Pandey of the Samajwadi Party. My colleague Saurabh Shukla now joins us, who spent a whole day in Ayodhya. Saurabh, now since there is curtains on campaigning, obviously now a decision will be taken on the 27th by the voters. But, Ayodhya, the contest, if you would like to talk about that, and also what can one expect from here on? Now this is going to be the key decider, the battle for Purvanchal from here on.
Absolutely, Sanket. Let me show some visuals of Hanuman Gadi. We all know that people who have covered Ayodhya and who know Ayodhya, that how significant Hanuman Gadi is. That is why when Akhilesh Yadav finished his Rath Yatra in Ayodhya, he came to Hanuman Gadi for the darshan, and you can see And in fact, Yogi Adityanath also yesterday, after finishing his Yatran, Yogi Adityanath also came here. So it is very important, and we all know and we all understand the importance and significance of Ayodhya, especially for BJP. That is why Yogi Adityanath held 3 hours a roadshow here, 3-hour roadshow here yesterday, and today Akhilesh Yadav was also here for 2 hours. And very importantly, last election, Sanket, Akhilesh Yadav lost all the seats here. Ayodhya has 5 assembly seats. BJP had won all these seats. And in fact, Yogi Adityanath, while he was campaigning in Ayodhya yesterday, he highlighted that in last 5 years, he came to Ayodhya for more than 50 times. So that is the significance of Ayodhya. And we all know that if BJP is in the power, Ayodhya is a major factor. And it will be, because now after the verdict, this is the first time elections are happening in Ayodhya. But we will come to know that how Ayodhya, Ram Mandir will help BJP, because it is a major issue. Yogi Adityanath, Amit Shah, Narendra Modi, Prime Minister, everyone says that now in Ayodhya, Bhavya Ram Mandir ka nirman ho raha hai. So that is a very important factor here. But now coming to Samajwadi Party, Pawan Pandey won in Ayodhya in 2012, but in 2017 he lost, and he lost by the margin of above 50,000 votes. And Akhilesh is heavily banking on Pawan Pandey. After finishing his campaign, Sanket, I did speak with Akhilesh Yadav while he was in Hanumangadi after the darshan. Let's hear what he has to say, especially the way now Prime Minister is talking about the issue of stray cattle. Let's hear him.
हमारे साथ अखिलेश यादव जी हैं। हनुमानगढ़ी में दर्शन हो गए अखिलेश जी आपके?
जी, मैं बहुत दिनों बाद हनुमानगढ़ी आया हूँ एक बार फिर, और यहाँ के साधु संत कई बार मुझे मिलने का मौका मिला है। मुझे लगता है कि इस बार भगवान की कृपा है और समाजवादी पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं को, और जो लोग कहते हैं कि कण कण में राम है, तो इस बार जनता समाजवादियों के साथ है।
आप पूर्वांचल चल चुका है चुनाव, अब यहाँ अयोध्या में बाबा लड़ना चाह रहे थे, आप कहते हैं अक्सर उसमें चुटकी भी लेते हैं, अब वो गोरखपुर चुनाव चल चुका है। यहाँ से कैसी स्ट्रैटेजी रहेगी आपकी? आपके बयानों में आप बोलते हैं कि उनके परिवार नहीं हो, परिवार का दर्द क्या समझते हैं, महंगाई को लेकर के रहते हैं, कैसा रहेगा सर पूर्वांचल?
देखिए, मुझे लगता है पहले, दूसरे, तीसरे, चौथे चरण का जो चुनाव था, 5वें, 6ठे, 7वें में और आगे जाने वाला है। पूर्वांचल में और पूर्वांचल की जागरूक जनता को जो धोखा दिया है भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने, इस बार पूर्वांचल की जनता इनका सफाया करेगी।
सर, एक और सवाल आपसे, आखिरी सवाल पूछते हैं आपसे। सर, आज डिम्पल जी ने भी कैंपेन किया इलाहाबाद में, और अब एक बहुत अहम लड़ाई है 5वें चरण में, जिसमें केशव मौर्य जी मैदान में है। मेरे से आपकी बात हुई थी लखनऊ में, तो आपने कहा था कि केशव मौर्य जी को जीतने नहीं दूंगा।
सवाल ये नहीं है, जो समाजवादी पार्टी कोशिश कर सकती है वो कोशिश कर रही है, और जनता बहुत खिलाफ है भारतीय जनता पार्टी। केवल एक व्यक्ति के सवाल नहीं है, सवाल ये सरकार के खिलाफ लोग दिखाई दे रहे हैं, और बदलाव जनता चाहती है, और इस बार बदलाव जनता करके दिखाई।
तो प्रधानमंत्री भी कह रहे हैं कि अब आएंगे तो जो अन्ना पशुओं का मामला, वारा पशुओं का मामला है, उसको निजात दिला देंगे। वो बार बार कह रहे हैं अपनी रैलियों में।
वो 10 तारीख के बाद जो परिणाम आएगा, वो जानते हैं कि सरकार उनकी नहीं रहेगी। 5 साल की वजह से जो किसानों का नुकसान हुआ, जो सांडों ने जान ली है, जो खुले जानवरों की वजह से नुकसान खेतों का हुआ, और हजारों करोड़ गौशाला के नाम पर लूट लिया गया, इन तमाम चीज़ों का जनता देख रही है। आने वाले समय में देखिएगा क्या निर्णय लेती है जनता। लेकिन कम से कम प्रधानमंत्री जी को पता तो लगा कि उत्तर प्रदेश में सांड की भी समस्या है।
ठीक है, ये तो अखिलेश यादव जी थे, उनसे बात हुई हमारी, उन्होंने कहा कि सांड की समस्या को लेकर के अब डिफेंसिव हो रहे हैं। फिलहाल अखिलेश यादव ने हनुमानगढ़ी में आकर अयोध्या में दर्शन किया है, और उनको उम्मीद है कि उनकी जीत होगी, लेकिन नतीजा 10 मार्च को पता चलेगा, क्योंकि योगी जी ने भी यहाँ रोड शो किया है, उनकी भी तैयारी जबरदस्त नजर आती है। सहयोगी के साथ
टॉकिंग टू सौरभ शुक्ला अबाउट द future contest, which is phase 5, 6 and 7. Saurabh, very quickly before I let you go, you see all these phases are going to see very important religious centers at the very center of the polling. Phase 5 is Ayodhya, phase 6 is Gorakhpur, and phase 7 is Varanasi. even then, the Samajwadi Party is very confident that they will be able to unseat these citadels of power for the Bharatiya Janata Party. What gives them this confidence?
The confidence you're talking about, Sanket, because three important leaders who have joined Samajwadi Party from BJP, they are important caste leaders. Swami Prasad Maurya, OBC, Dara Singh Chauhan, OBC. So, and OP Rajbhar, how can we forget OP Rajbhar is also contesting. So caste census, the issue of caste, that is the strategy of Samajwadi Party. They are very confident that this factor will help them. In fact, one religious center you are there in Prayagraj. BJP is heavily banking on the Kumbh they have organized previously from Prayagraj. But Samajwadi Party is heavily banking on the caste factor. They are saying that they will get reservation. They will do the caste census which is pending, and BJP is not letting that happen. So that is the important factor Samajwadi Party is thinking that will help them winning these three phases. And according to my analysis, Sanket, these three phases will decide the future of Uttar Pradesh, political future of Uttar Pradesh, because in first two phases we see some edge to Gathbandhan SP plus, and in two phases I see little bit edge to BJP. So I think now these three phases, whosoever wins these three phases will form the government. That is my individual analysis, but we'll come to know about the final outcome on 10th of March. Sanket.
True. I mean, the Bharatiya Janata Party maintains that they'll be able to convince the people that theirs is a better government, and it was able to offer much more to the people, and most importantly, law and order. Akhilesh Yadav confident on the back of his alliances, the issue of employment, and of course, the issue that he raised in your interview as well, the mighty bull. Who will take the bull by the horns? That's the most important question. Thank you very much, Saurabh Shukla, for joining us. Hello and welcome to this special presentation right here on NDTV. Now, through this election coverage, we've been going to various cities, villages, urban agglomerations, small towns, and we try to constantly speak to the youth, the future of any state or any electorate. What is on their mind? Youth ke dil mein kya hai? And in the same journey, we are right now in Prayagraj and attempting to speak to the youth once again. Thank you very much. The Youth Roundtable right here on NDTV. I'll start by asking you, what is going to be on your mind when you said that you have come here from Noida only to cast your vote?
Yes.
What will be that issue on your mind? I'm not going to ask you your political affiliations. I don't care. Ideally, I should not. I also don't care. But what are the issues on which you will cast your vote?
Well, because I don't stay here any longer, but I stay in Noida. Now when I come back to my hometown, I see a lot of development here, you know. Just to start with the very basic. You see the road, you see the infrastructure. Well, I used to live here. The roads used to be narrow, lean, not much of stores to go to, not many restaurants, not many travel companies. So when I come back and I see that kind of growth here, I know people are getting employed. And we, the people who go out, get educated,
And what is this time period in which you have assessed the past 5 years?
5 years,
Okay.
yes, precisely 5 years. I mean, we always had Kumbh, you know, Mahakumbh. Every 12 years, it's grand, it's big. Now even the basic Magh Mela, it's grand. People fancy it, and people from all over the world are coming back to this city and actually exploring this. And one of the major reasons why I've come down to cast my vote, we all know we had COVID, right? It was the thing that nobody ever see.
Yeah.
And I think the best way that it could have been tackled is what really happened here.
Unemployment को लेकर के बहुत बात होती है. That बेरोजगारी is a, I mean, it's amazing. How many of you feel employment is a big issue in this election?
Yes.
All of you feel. It's the biggest issue.
Yes.
You agree?
Yes.
Why do you think such a situation has happened? और ये किसकी वजह से हुआ? Do you blame the government for this?
No, we don't. Point is, sir, I want to ask all political point one question. Is education is their top agenda?
हाँ.
Because engineers, doctors, scientists, they are made by teachers and education. Where is education? Where it comes to our development, we compare to Western countries. And why don't we compare the education system of them here?
Well, as he said that in terms of development, roads are being constructed, highways are being constructed. But in a state where most of the area is largely covered by rural areas, you cannot basically talk about roads and highways because those are people who are basically pedestrians or walking on this or riding cycles. So they are not going to use highways or roads for their development. For me, I guess democratic values, secularism, these should be the basic points. What about the prices of the oil prices? What about the oil prices? Let's just talk about that. What about the basic necessities which one requires? The expenses in the like expenditure, the government has spent nothing on that. Just roads and highways cannot be our only topic to gain your vote. And as long as the education system is concerned, this government has not at all...
So you feel that the government on the front of development only has to show expressways and highways?
Yes, expressways and highways.
And that according to you is not the road to success alone?
At least not in Uttar Pradesh.
Okay, interesting. First time voter, क्या है issue आपका?
Sir, one of the biggest travesties in Uttar Pradesh politics is that ever since the 70 years of its inception, it could never grow beyond the petty politics of caste and religion. Because like myself, I have visited Maharashtra for my education, and it's pretty sure that had I stayed back in Allahabad, I wouldn't have gotten the same exposure or have met the same people had I stayed back. Also, that's a very basic difference that I feel, because we are inebriated in our own bubble of caste and politics, this whole intermingling of religion and politics. And that's why despite doing so badly in all the indexes that have been rolled out in the recent times, we just don't seem to care. And for me as a voter, I want to change that. I don't want to keep being in this sheep herding. I want to...
I think that's a very important point. But can I ask you this question? Do you feel that you have a political alternative which will value this way of thinking of yours? Or will each political, like in phones, you've got different operating systems, but at the end of the day, they do the same thing. Similarly, do you feel that all political parties are like these different operating systems, eventually doing the same thing, caste-based politics?
Sir, unfortunately, there's no better alternative at hand at this point, because, like, I'll be very blunt here.
फिर वोट किस नहीं ये पूछना नहीं चाहिए लेकिन फिर then
Yeah.
what option do you have then?
Yes, it's sad.
Your option is Nota then.
It's sad, but like BJP forwards the brand of Hindutva politics.
Yeah.
Sapa has always promoted the Muslim and Yadav equation, and Baspa with the Dalit and Brahman equation, like it has, which brought it to power in 2007 elections. The same equation. No one is talking about the progressive values which will take the state forward, and that is a major disappointment that I face as a voter. And sadly, my parents or like my elders don't seem to care about it, and that's the basic reason. That's a fundamental reason why UP will always be where it is. And like I'm a strict optimist, and it's a tough job to effect the politics of change in a state like UP, where people just don't seem to care beyond their bubble of caste and politics and all these equations. They should have a look at development, because at the end of the day, what is bringing food on your table? It's not religion, it's not caste. If you're able to earn,
development.
If you're able to
Correct.
educate yourself, that's what will ameliorate your standard of living at the end of the day.